We'll call the extension meeting to order with the first order of business related to public comments, requests, add items for the next agenda. Do we have anybody on the room?
Nope.
Having no public comments, we'll move to approve the October 19th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I yield to Doug.
To the senior member, because I'm starting to feel like Doug and I do it all. We do it here, we do it land as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we'll go to the safety share with Tom Burchard.
That would be me. I thought it would be timely, because I was watching my wife take down the Halloween decorations and start installing the Thanksgiving decorations, that we are doing ladders and things, right, Amy?
Should be.
So, what I'm thinking is we should just remember to think about what you're doing. Try not to balance. I mean, I've seen people leaning over the ladder, trying to get those Christmas decorations up instead of moving the ladder. And I find as I get older, I just don't do ladders anymore. I have a 32-year-old son who comes over. Go do that ladder. But not everybody has that, but just be careful of what you're doing and plan ahead no matter what you're doing, because it is the holiday season, everybody decorates.
So did you fall off the ladder? Is that what happened here?
No, that's, what was that?
Dermatologist.
Dermatologist.
Okay.
No dermatologist.
Don't
Why
you
do
love
I think
those
the same?
dermatologists?
You and I think
Yeah, you
exactly
fell off
the
the
same.
ladder.
I thought you fell off the ladder.
Yeah.
Great spokesperson.
Oh, that's
Campaign.
little.
I did think of Amy. How long ago was that?
Almost a year ago.
I know, it was very timely, right? Well, we know that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, no. Don't stand on your couch to decorate your Christmas tree. Use the appropriate step stool.
There we go.
Any other comments? I'll just say that deer hunting starts this weekend. Everybody that's going out there, be safe. Look at the tree before you climb it. You know, a lot of the trees are rotted and, you know, you think you got a good tree and you get halfway up there and you find out it tips over. So be safe.
I heard on the news this morning, if your blaze orange or pink is pretty old, check it out, see if it's really gonna be reflective. You might need to do it if it's old and dirty and crusty.
Yeah.
Faded. Yeah, may not be as bright.
Next, we go on to the committee chair report. I just wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family and friends and be safe.
And Steve, I'd like to add to that. Thank you so much for making sure that those of us who chose to got our 4-H pizzas. And they, like I say, when I say my kids, 42 and 40-year-olds are saying they are the best pizzas out there.
They're good. Then we'll go on to the UW Division Extension Program and educating reports and updates with horticulturist Madison Botretz.
Oh, I get to go first. Well, Steve, I want to say thank you for reminding me about opening weekend. I'm going to put a little post out on social media of tree ID. Don't put your tree stand on an ash tree that's infested with emerald ash borer, because that could go south quickly. But now there's no leaves on the trees, hard for the average Joe to ID a tree. So you have my mind jogged. So I'm just gonna jot that down before people set up their tree stands.
We had a guy at the highway department that once went on a tree and it busted and, you know, it busted both of his ankles. So,
Yeah, and you're
you have to be
gun
careful
too.
of
That's just
what you're climbing and
bad.
be aware of your conditions of the trees.
So thank you all for having me here at this meeting. I just wanted to give you an update. I don't remember the last time I talked to you all. I think it was right before summer, when it gets really busy in the horticulture world. And so I wanted to give you kind of just an overview of how the summer went and talk about some programs that we have in the future and just some ideas that I have. But I wanted to start with what we call plant health advising. That is where folks can walk right up to our office. They can call our office and get directed to me. They can send an email either directly. We've got a plant advice at winnebagocountywi.gov email address, or there's also a form on the state horticulture website. People can ask any question. They can say, my tree is sick, you know, the leaves are turning this color, what's wrong with it? Or, you know, I've got this big shade tree and all the grass is dead underneath it. What should I plant under there? They can ask any question under the sun about plants outside, plants inside, insects, birds, anything. And so between May and September, that's kind of a really busy season for us. Myself, and I've got, I think, 4 or 5 Master Gardener volunteers who assist me. They assist with the email portion. We helped 120 people in those months with a variety of different plant health cases that they had. So I thought that was a really good number.
So,
Yeah.
excuse me for interrupting, call you before we call a ranger, forest rangers, or one of these tree people who will say, oh, this tree needs to come down, when in fact it doesn't.
Right, so in my role, I try and stray away from that tree can stay, that tree can go. But I do I can let them know, oh yeah, it's really not that big of a deal, or if it could be, then that's when I direct them to the certified arborist, just because there is a little bit of liability if I say that tree's good and then it falls down in a year. So, yeah, and that's actually, so the first piece that you have on your stack of handouts, this is just kind of an outreach piece that I use. There's a lovely QR code on the bottom for folks who like to access the internet on their phone, or there's just a web address. But on the back, it's got all these different labs that UW offers. So we've got our plant disease diagnostic lab. If there's a plant disease, someone comes in and the bark is all messed up on their woody ornamental shrub. I can't think of one off the top of my head. And sometimes you can look at it and go, oh, I know that's powdery mildew. But I would say 90% of the time, you can't identify a plant disease just with your eye. It has to be sent down to a lab to confirm, oh, it's actually anthracnose, or it's late blight or something like that. And then once they know what their plant or tree or shrub or anything has, then they can actually put the right, have the right management solution. Sometimes people pour fungicide on something and it's insect problems. So there's the disease diagnostic lab, they've got the soil lab if they need a soil test. So this basically connects them to the next level up. If I can't help them just in-house, it gives them all the resources that they need. And if they find any of this confusing, I definitely hold their hands through the process. But so some of those 120 people, did I help all of them? In some way, yes. I didn't solve all their problems, but if it was above my pay grade, I directed them to the person that they needed to talk to get it solved. So as I said, we have those through emails, calls, and walk-ins. A majority of those were calls and walk-ins, which unfortunately are the ones that I handle, and the master gardeners handle the emails. So in order just to have the process kind of get done quicker and also to be able to serve more people, my plan for next growing season is to have some master gardeners actually come into the office for scheduled volunteer hours so that we can actually market this service and say, if you have a plant problem, come bring it in on a Tuesday or a Thursday morning and have a master gardener look at it in real time. So that was just kind of a growing pain that I had to learn in this first year. I had no idea how many people were going to come at me. I didn't market this service very far and wide. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be able to do that and just kind of expand our whole operation. But
Next year will be different.
it'll be even better. It was
Yeah.
good this year. It's gonna be even better next year now that I really have, my feet under me.
So, and I've got a quick question too. Master gardeners have to do a certain amount of volunteer hours
They do.
and continuing education.
Yes, 24 hours for volunteer service, 10 hours for continuing ed.
Thank you.
Next down, well, okay, it's next down on my list. I'm just reading this over. But we were at the Oshkosh Farmers Market. We were there for 4 different weekends from June, July, and August. And that was just myself and 8 volunteers. We were given a booth at the market at no cost, which was really, really nice. The Oshkosh Farmers Market does that service for nonprofits. It was great visibility for extension. As Robin said, we're really trying to get our names out there, and the master gardeners have been at the farmers market in the past, but it was just their association, and they mostly just set up lawn chairs, and if people walked up to them and asked questions, they could, but for the most part, would you walk up to a group of people sitting in the lawn chairs at the farmers market? Some would, some wouldn't, but this year we had a big canopy, we had chairs, we had all these materials out and different reference books, and it really, really looked professional. We had a nice inviting tablecloth, and I don't have the numbers of exactly how many people we talked to, we were mostly answering gardening questions or telling them about upcoming programs, but because it varied from week to week. Some weeks were really busy and we talked to like 86 people, and then some weeks were a little slower and we talked to like 30. So it definitely varied, but we had a really good time. And I just had 8 volunteers this year, but a couple other master gardeners in the association saw the nice setup and they heard how happy the 8 volunteers were, how much they enjoyed it. So next year, I've already been told that that volunteer base is going to grow a lot more. So we might either be able to do more weeks at the Oshkosh Farmers Market, or I think I told this to the committee maybe before summer started, and some of you mentioned there's the Neenah Farmers Market, there's the Amro Farmers Market. So if I have a broad enough volunteer base, we can serve those communities as well. My focus this year was just Oshkosh, 1, because they reached out to me, and 2, I think they're like the 4th, they're a pretty large farmers market in the state, or at least in the area. So just in terms of bang for our buck, you know, reaching the most people, we wanted to choose the largest market. But I do know that we've got other communities in Winnebago County other than Oshkosh, so that is on my radar. But that's also be really promoted these services too. There, just a lot of visibility for extension and Master Gardener program.
You might also want to try one of the winter farmers markets, because they do have it year round.
Yes,
So it'd
right.
be interesting, people might have questions coming to spring, what they should do for the soil treatment and
That's great.
things like that.
Winter is my time of year where I'm, you know, not boots on the ground in the garden. That's where I'm at libraries and senior centers giving talks. And so if I can promote those talks at a winter farmers market.
Yeah, they'll give you a free booth.
Moving right along to the next handout that you have. This is just the flyer for our backyard gardener program. We did a lot of promoting at this at the Oshkosh Farmers Market, but this is our kind of a revamped, rebranded version of the Master Gardener training. So I collaborated with Caitlin Bricko. She's the horticulture educator up in Allegheny County, because it's my first year teaching this kind of program, and she's done it before, but she hasn't done it since COVID. So we're collaborating on this. We hold this course. It started in September. It's a 13-week course. It's 14 weeks, but we're off next week for Thanksgiving. So September through December. I also included, if you're interested in looking at the syllabus,
This looks difficult.
it is very advanced. And the
I would
syllabus
flunk.
is we make it very easy. It's the course is not meant to stump people. There's no exams. It is very, we have had such fantastic feedback from it.
Tests and stuff, and quizzes.
Yeah, okay, let me. This is the course textbook that everybody gets. It's the same textbook the curriculum is based really similarly to, there's an online program run through the state. It costs almost twice as much and it's fully online. And so, ours is a little bit more affordable for folks, and they get that person-to-person interaction that they they're having such a good time with it. People are making friends, they're making garden buddies, and yes, it does say that there's an exam in every bit. And I'll just see if I can.
So what if you flunk them?
So there's an exam question. I'm only throwing Doug here, but there's an answer key right at the bottom. So again, you do the exam, but then you can check your answers right away and just go, oh, I was actually wrong with your answers.
Where can I sign up?
You could tell your way to pass something.
Yeah, again, the course is not meant to stump people. Our goal is to teach them how to learn, so that if they come, so that they can be the ones to answer these gardening questions, because nobody knows everything off the top of their head like a Rolodex. But you have to learn, all right, where do I find the resources? Can I find them in this textbook? Can I find them on the horticulture website? Can I call my extension educator and ask her for some advice? So right now we are a little over halfway through. For the most part, it's been myself and Caitlin teaching, but we did have some guest presenters come in. Last week, we just had a certified arborist from Ranger Services up in Appleton come in, and he's been involved in teaching the Master Gardener
Who was
program for Dan Trass. Oh, well, you should get to know him. I am a disciple now. That guy knows a lot about trees, and he just got everybody jacked up about tree health and.
Charlie.
All right. Well,
My buddy.
So we have 20 people enrolled in the in-person version. We chose a location just right between the two counties, right at the UWO Fox Cities campus. It is right on kind of that Highway 10, 441, 41 interchange, so it's right on the highway. We actually there's someone from Stevens Point who drives an hour to attend this course in real life, and someone from Fond du Lac who drives up to attend in person, because there's not a whole lot of these classes being offered. I think there's one offered in Wood County and one in Marathon County, and that's it.
When
So
is the next one being offered?
they are offered annually in fall. And the reason that is because, so we can't call this Master Gardener training, because the real Master Gardener, like a certification, that happens every year in January. That's administered fully by the state. I am not allowed to bestow Master Gardener status on anyone. That is all done by the state, and I respect that, but we are able to give them the educational portion that they need to then go through that Master Gardener certification process. So, and I did ask, so we've got 20 folks in the class, 16 are from Winnebago County, actually, so that's really good. They don't all intend to become Master Gardeners. Some just really want to know the knowledge. Or, you know, a couple of them, they've got young kids, or they're still working. And a lot of times it's easier to be a Master Gardener if you are retired and have the time to volunteer. But this course lasts, it's good for 5 years. So within the next 5 years, if they then decide that, oh, I actually do want to become a Master Gardener, those volunteer hours don't seem as daunting anymore. They have 5 years to make that decision. So we might get maybe 10 new Master Gardeners out of this, I'm hoping, but in the years to come, that could end up building.
We did a safety walk up at the campus, and what we noticed is that the bushes and trees were in need of trimming in that, and that could be a project that some Master Gardener may take on,
Yes.
or educating, I don't know, which way was that falling, do you think? They were gonna have their guys do the trimming, but they probably could be trained. They're probably wood butchers now, they got the wood butcher certification. Not the tree
Oh,
trimming.
sure. Yeah, I don't know who does the landscape service at that campus, but after we were teaching them, you know, how to properly mulch trees and prune trees, and then some of the students were walking out and going, these trees are mulched the way that we just learned they shouldn't be. And
Yeah.
not everyone is perfect, but I do know that out of Gamey they do have some volunteers out there, but more for like big flower pots.
Well, this would be a project that would benefit somebody could go in there and do if they were looking for something.
Eagle Scouts.
Well,
Every
Eagle
one
Scout
acquires.
built that big 8-foot fence around the community garden out there. So yeah, Eagle Scouts are a good source of
We try to get the Master Gardeners to do County Park where the entrance are coming in and roundabout,
oh yeah,
and they're all always filled up.
yeah.
You know, so we hired Smoke for $4,000 to do it.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, and
I
that's
think
why-
they got them to do it.
That is my
Nice
goal.
job, it'll-
I've got to get our core group of Master Gardeners back up a little bit. I'm really trying to do some recruitment, not just directly saying, hey, join, but by doing programs like this and by doing programs.
I thought it was good, but good, they could put a little sign, you know, in.
Right,
when they
good
come in and
visibility
out,
for them.
Tell them why, they could have showed how their work looks and how it turns out, and everybody knows how they looked before we hired Stewart or Waltz to do them, you know, so it would have been a really nice advertising for the Master Gardener, but it's volunteers and they got endless amount of projects and everybody does free labor.
Right. But so it's my goal to get more folks so that we actually can kind of help out at a greater capacity. Does anyone have any questions about the backyard gardener program? I'll give you all some, we're gonna do an evaluation at the end and hopefully we get some negative feedback, but it's just all been over. Everyone in the class is having such a great time, so.
I commend you for doing your, keeping track of how many people are doing what. I think that is gonna become very important in the budgeting process, whatever. you
Yeah.
call that thing.
Yeah.
And you're using a lot of neat buzzwords that are really timely, and that's good too, getting people interested, building your program, knowing where you are, tracking that, so you can show this is what we've done. And it comes right into justifying what we're doing. So you did a very good job.
The last thing that I want to tell you about, and then I know I gotta give Chris some time to talk too, but funny that, I forget now which one of you mentioned that the landscaping up at Fox, but, there is, I think the last piece of paper, we didn't go through the other half sheet. I am partnering again with Caitlin Gricko up in Outagamie County. This has always been a collaboration between Outagamie, Winnebago, and Brown County. To hold a landscape professionals conference. We work with the Wisconsin Landscape Contractors Association, the Fox Valley chapter. So like Schmaltz Landscaping and all those big landscaping services, they do have some reps on this committee. And every year since, I think even prior to 2013, they've been doing some kind of conference in some sense. Sometimes it's a half-day workshop, then it was a 2-day conference. Now today we are but this next year, we're just doing a 1-day conference. Again, this is the first time that we're doing it since COVID. The last one that they held was the week before the world shut down, so they were really happy about that. But we really paid attention to what different landscape companies, what the contractors are looking for in this kind of a conference, because sometimes it's been really in-depth and advanced, and now we've got feedback that, you know, it's hard to get good help, and the people that they're hiring, they don't really have time to give them good training before they're out on the ground. So they're just hoping that people are pruning right and IDing what's a weed and what's a plant. So we're going back to the basics with this conference. It is, you know, pretty much one-on-one on everything. It's going to serve as just that baseline training for all the new employees that they're hiring on, so that they can learn about safety and tools and plan reading and, you know, weed and tree and flower identification and stuff like that. Just really basic stuff, almost like there's something, a certified landscape technician certification. It's something like that. I can't use certified twice in the same title, but so it's called CLT for short. And that's what you do when you are fully committed to being a landscape. You want to have that CLT certification. So this workshop is kind of meant to be like a pre-test. You're kind of learning what you would have to know to become that CLT, that certified landscape technician. And so we are going to have this in March of 2024. It's going to be over at Sunnyview Expo Center. We wanted a really big space because this is not going to be a sit in a classroom and listen to someone talk at you for a full day. They are going to bring in actual plants, actual, you know, bricks and gravel and dirt and spades, and they're going to do real demonstration. People are going to be able to get their hands dirty, all in the expo center at in that big large space. And so it's going to be a real hands-on learning opportunity for them. And something that, you know, when we were discussing the dates of when we're going to hold this program, we want to have it in winter because that's generally when people aren't landscaping, even though a lot of them do have plow services. But so we chose March, and we were going to be end of February, but then one of the landscapers said, you know, a lot of my workforce, they're not in the country in winter. They usually come in March because they are migrant workers. And so that made me think, okay, we've got a sizable Hispanic population in this landscape field. Have you ever done any translation services for them before? And they're like, no, they mostly understand. They know what they need to know to get by. And so I'm like, okay, well, Extension is a part of this. Extension has translation and interpretation services. We need to market that as part of the program. So now if somebody signs up and they have a Spanish speaking employee, they can indicate that they need some kind of interpretation service, and the Office of Access, Compliance, and Conclusion down in Madison, they will send interpreters up to learn all of the material, learn the landscape jargon, and they'll do simultaneous interpretation with the presenters so that any folks who are English as a second language, needing Spanish, or if there's another language too, they'll have other interpreters and other language experience. Speaking the language into a headset, I don't know if you know, has never witnessed simultaneous interpretation. It's very cool. And we're just really excited about being able to offer this because, you know, it's one thing to go to a conference and if you can kind of grasp what you're being taught, but if it's being taught to you in your native language, you're actually going to learn it. So I'm just really excited for this conference because it's going to be very impactful.
And are you mailing this to actual landscaping companies?
Yes.
Okay.
We are mailing this everyone in the Fox Valley chapter of the Landscape Contractors Association, and just I obtained a list from DATCAP of all the nursery growers in the area. So everyone, all the landscape businesses within a 75-mile radius of Sunnyview Expo Center, they got this mailed to them. So
Okay.
we are reaching out, not just, we've always kind of relied on past participant lists, as that's who we market to again in the future, and I thought we need to expand this a little bit more. So we relied on that resources to get out of our typical audience and reach people. Plus, there's been new landscape companies that have crept up since 2020 that we want to kind of invite them in the fold. So hoping to get, it's capped at, I think, 150 people. In order to run, they need 100 people. We're gonna easily get 100 people. I think we're gonna end up capping it at 150, but so it should be good. More information on that as the date approaches, but that's just something I'm excited about. So I do a lot of consumer horticulture, education, but now we're also focusing on green industry too.
Are you giving out stickers or anything like that that they've gone through time? They can put on their trucks?
I do not know that, but I'd like
The
that.
reason I say that is I played in landscaping a little bit, and what's happening is there is a whole new wave of landscapers coming in, and they don't speak English. And they just come up, everybody can get a tractor and they think they can put a lawn in, and sometimes it looks like, there's other ones that they do a nice job. But it would simply be something like member of an association, well, I've taken this class, a sticker they can put inside their truck that kind of shows that.
I really do. And plus that's good advertising for the, as long as they're a good, landscape.
And see, that's
landscape, and they will be after they attend, they're gonna know. the
now,
basics,
at least they've got the tools to do it, whether they do it or not.
So hardscape is really hard, like I had a stone patio put in, it's really hard to find somebody that'll cut on angles, they all like to build squares. They don't want to cut on angles,
Mhm.
and then they don't want to put on the lights, so, you have to hire somebody to do that. And it just, dusk to dawn lights really make a patio look nice, and what I found out, most of them have one person that speaks English, the crew doesn't. So you have to find the one person that speaks English, and that's the person you have to talk with in the morning, because the rest of them have no clue what they're saying.
Right. Well, that is, does anyone have any questions now before we
No, you're doing a good
move
job.
on to Chris?
What's interesting, we moved up here about 35 years ago, and way back then, extension was, everybody would say, you need help with your gardens, go to the extension. I don't hear that anymore.
We don't hear that as well. And anyone who does walk into, show me a plant or something, overgeneralizing here, but they're probably over the age, they're about my parents' age or older.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, we're at the state office, we're really trying to focus more on social media, and that's where the kids are always.
Well, and you say social media, and you're saying the elderly, and I'm gonna tell you social media? Question mark? Are you kidding me? You expect me to know how to do this?
Yeah, so it's, I find myself kind of standing in both pots right now, because there's the audience that Extension is used to working with. You know how to work with us, we know how to work with you, and then it's the younger audience that we're like, okay, how do we reach them and kind of flex our expertise when social media, there's 100 different people who aren't experts, but are just good at, razzle dazzle, and so it is definitely a challenge, and at least in the horticulture program, all the different educators from around the state were really plugged in on different ideas and approaches that we're gonna hopefully take.
Good,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
If you hire, like I use Naturescape, they come out and look at my problems.
Oh, yeah?
And they tell me how to fix them, and they fix them, I just pay them. So it's like, I think a lot of people, these grass companies have, the yard man, Naturescape, they're all over, and most people today are too busy, they don't do their own yard work. So if they hire somebody and that person will come out, if your bush doesn't look good, you call them up, and it's part of the price that you paid for the year,
Mhm.
they'll come out and say, well, it needs a little more nitrogen, and next time they come and fertilize, they'll give that bush more nitrogen. In the fall, they feed the roots, and then, so I think more people are just getting into not having the time to do it themselves, and
And that's a lot of thing to do with age. You and me are older, she's younger. And the age percent, what do? They don't call all the cultures, whatever they call. They ask Siri. And Siri tells them what, And, Yeah, well, and that's, you got the people that are older that have money, and you got the younger people that are younger, time is important to them, but they don't have as much money, but they still want to have a lawn put in or something. And so, I mean, that's what's so tough about doing it. How do you communicate with the whole wide spectrum of people?
Right.
I think Andrew's chart out here, like, this would actually be very helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, it has what you actually do, and it has contact information, so I think when you go to your farmers markets and people get that, like, I'll put it.
I pass them out like candy. They're not received like candy, but I still try and pass them out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great tool to have, and like there's the emerald ash board, I mean, a lot of people let their trees die. I treated mine, so every 2 years they come and give it some injection, My thought is eventually there'll be no trees left for the board to eat, so mine will be good. And I'll stop treating it, but.
Not as much as that.
I do want to add that in the horticulture area, extension nationwide is one of the areas that they have used the changing technology to get the extension resources in the various forms, whether they be apps or, so that extension information pops up to the top of the Google search or creation of videos. So it's not perfect, but it is one of the areas, because in the grand scheme of things, blossom end rot is blossom end rot is blossom end rot on your tomatoes, and it's just gonna happen, and it's just a matter of when is it gonna strike your your tomato path, or your potatoes, or your eggplants, or whatever you got. But what I'm saying is there's some consistencies in there. There's still some materials from the 90s that are still valid. They just need to be dressed up a little bit to meet the needs, and not all of the other areas in extension can benefit from that. And so, I mean, that's just an observation over my last 20 plus years, that even though individuals may be going and using Siri or whatever tool, there's still a good chance they're getting extension or research-based information. I'm not saying it's 100% all the time, but it's probably greater than 50-50. So if you do the right search, if you do a goofy search, you're gonna get goofy results.
You gotta talk the talk. If you don't know how to talk the talk, you
Yeah.
can't get the results.
Yeah.
What times do your classes go from and to?
They, like time of day or month to month. So
Well, no, I'm talking about the backyard garden.
it started September 13th, ends December 13th. Should might be the 12th to the 12th.
Is it an all-day event?
It is Tuesday afternoons, so 1:30 to 4 p.m. up at the Fox campus. So if you want to stop in at one, I mean, you'd be just kind of sitting in the middle of kind of a weeks-long course, but
Sure.
Your test.
and actually,
Yeah.
you don't get to have the notes to take.
Yeah, you just
Everything is open notes,
She
everything.
might not pass her test.
It's not proctored. That'd be really scary.
Week after Thanksgiving, we're actually, so we always like to have some kind of activity, test or something fun. So we're gonna go through the lesson plan, but then we're inviting in the Master Gardener Association, the executive committees and everything, just come in and meet and greet with the students too, just to kind of get them to hopefully want to graduate to come and join those associations. So again, if you want to pop in, you just let me know. I'll let you know the room number and if you can come and join.
Any other questions for medicine? Here none, we'll move on to food wise with Crystal.
Okay, first of all, I want to talk about how well the farmer's market, how well we did at the farmer's market this year. I've been doing tours at the farmer's market. This is my 3rd year. I usually go to the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry and I give them all of the information and they call me, sign up. I give them the dates. I'm there once a month from June, July, August, September, and October. So 5 months. And what happens is I get money from the farmer's market board. And when someone comes through a tour, they get a $10 gift card to then go and spend at the farmer's market. So again, I think
it's amazing. We're very lucky. I've also used the translation that Madison was talking about through OAIC, the Office of Inclusion. And I've had someone from Madison come down, because at the pantry we get, you know, a lot of different, we get a lot of diverse, people that come in there. So, this person was Hmong and was very interested in, doing the farmer's market tour. So Pinter from Madison came down, and as I talked, he spoke to the, there was like 3 of them that came in as a family. And we did the whole farmer's market tour while they had their headsets on. It was amazing. So if you get a chance to do any of that, it works wonderful. But besides that, the first year that I did the farmer market tour, I think I had about 12 people. Okay, and then the second year, I think I had maybe 18, 20. And again, I have been going to the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry, sending out flyers to WIC and other pantries that might be in the area. And this year probably surpassed anything that I could have thought of. Again, they give me $300, which is 30 gift cards. And by the time September was over, I had gone through all of them already. And I had another coming in that was 12 more people. And the board decided to give me $120 more. So I got to do over 40 people this year. Again, just from them knowing who we are. When I'm at the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry and someone is there that's been through it, they're like, "Oh, it's amazing, it's fun," you know, and it has really gotten our name out there. I know we've been talking a little bit about that. And so they're a great way to use them to get our information out there. A lot of people know who we are now. And second of all, with that, we work with each other. So I'm there to promote farm or grocery store tours, and then through the winter months when they're because I don't do the winter ones that you were talking about. I do things for them. I promote some food that they might have that's like in a large abundance and say, "Hey, try this today, grab this," or I'll even put out samples for them. So it's a great collaboration that I have with them. And again, I've been there since they opened day one. And so, you know, and I know that they've changed a lot of different people, but I haven't changed, and that's really important. I'm there, they see me all the time. I can have a booth if I want, but I really don't need one. I'm right at the corner where people come in and they get their food share dollars. I'm not sure if you guys know about that. They can take their food share card and they can get tokens. So let's say, and then, so if they want, they can get $10, and then there's a program that gives them $10 free. So they get $20 to spend, and they can do this every single week at the farm markets. So that's wonderful. Then they get $10 from me. So for $10, they get $30 worth of tokens, and they can spend them throughout the whole summer. And then they can do it each week as well.
So they get $30 per week, basically.
If they want, but
Okay,
they
if
spend
they
$10,
chose.
right, if they chose. Mhm.
Okay,
Yes,
so they spend $10
Right.
and then they get.
if they do my
matching.
tour, yes, they get a matching for 10.
Okay,
That's automatic. And that comes from funding through the farm market tour and the board.
okay.
And then I just give them additional 10 if they do my tour.
Oh, nice.
And like I said, this year, 40 people, it's growing and growing, and I'm just excited that they were even able to give me the additional funds. Otherwise, I would have had to cut it off. So,
Where did you get the original funds from?
Farmer Market Board, and that's with Michelle from the,
Yeah.
and then Michael.
Okay, and so knowing that you had 40 this year, are they likely to give you more than $300
That's
next
what,
year?
and we're gonna talk about that. We
Okay.
always have a meeting before the farmer market starts, and they always say, "Well, we're gonna give you $300. Well, this is the first year I've used all of them, so I guess we'll have to see.
Okay,
They look at it as they kind of decide who's gonna get funding and things like that, and then it comes down to what they have, and they had extra this year, so that's why it was given to me. Okay. All right, any questions on that?
You do Menasha's farm market at all?
No, I do not.
And is there a reason you don't?
Because I have counterparts in Outagamie County and they do some of the farm markets up there. I know Miranda was working at the Appleton Farmers Market, but I'm not sure about Menasha.
Well, I would guess one of the reasons you can't do it is you don't have enough time.
Mm.
There's not enough of them. But what I like is to hear Menasha, Nina has one, Menasha has one. And you alluded to it, you know, it's bigger than just Oshkosh, and that's one of the things I think in our future, we're gonna have to be looking at is how are we reaching out
Right.
to the other areas, Amaral, because that's gonna help us.
Definitely. And I work with Friendship Place in Nina.
Mm.
And that's a great resource for us as well. I go in and I do cooking lessons with them and then I pick a topic. Like this month, it's all on portion sizes with it being the holiday season. We talk about portions and all that type of stuff. But that was another thing. Last year in the summer, we had one set up where I was going to take them through the farmers market in Menasha
Or Nina,
and do a tour. And it just didn't work. So I guess it's something that I can look into
and
again.
again,
Theirs is mostly during the day and in the,
yeah,
Well, Menasha's is on, I think on a Thursday afternoon.
and you can't be everywhere. It's just that when you're giving away money like you are, and, you know, word spreads, it would be nice to see that it's an Amaral and it's up there, even if you're not doing it, if Outagamie County's doing it, that could be part of your report. That you are reaching out to those people, it just might through the different media.
and the difference between the two markets, and I don't want to sound negative on this, is that we contacted the supplier who gives the matching $10 and asked if they would give additional monies for the tours, and they were against it. So there's no additional funding for the ones in Appleton, so it's not as successful as the one here. And that's unfortunate because mine has grown and grown and grown and theirs has gone.
But that's part of selling the
It
whole
is.
thing. Maybe
It
they
is.
would if they knew they were getting that kind of return. But again, it's the standard thing we have, not enough people to do a lot of all the work aspects. You have to pick and choose, but that comes into how you handle budget-based financing or whatever. What's the
Priority based.
priority?
But the one thing a reminder is that Chris works within the FoodWise program,
Right.
and the FoodWise program is federally grant funded through the supplemental nutrition assistance and the SNAP Ed and FNAP, which are federal legislation. So Chris has a very specific target audience that she needs to focus on, where our other educators have a broader audience. So
I think those people are up in Menasha.
right.
Well, yeah,
So I'm not disagreeing with that. And and the structure, Chris, Miranda, and Haley are FoodWise educators. And yes, their offices are in Outagamie, Wapaka, and Winnebago counties, but they also work together to coordinate and collaborate. And you also hit the other piece is that, in addition to farmers markets, they also, Chris is doing garden programs, community garden education and learning programs, working with food pantries, during the school year. So you're right, there is, sometimes we match up with who are the partners, Chris is like, who are the partners that we want to work with and have those relationships, and let's capitalize on those, because sometimes there are partners that are like, and it's like, okay, fine, we will take our energy and put it someplace else. And I'm not saying Nina or Menasha has done that, but there are other examples. So I'm agreeing with you, and Chris needs to make sure that she at least makes a reasonable effort to make her programming available to those who have the income constraints or are eligible for.
Spelling it,
Yeah.
They're a program up there, and they have 15 people from Winnebago County come. You know that you can incorporate that into your report, even though you haven't done anything, you're selling this program,
right.
which is the
Yeah.
future.
Which I can give you an example. We started a garden program in the Calumet County in Chilton, and this was I believe our second or third year. the first year and we sent out all the information. It's just people getting to know you, people getting to see you over and over again. And working with a lot of the local programs that the first year, it was okay. We had, certain people that came back every week. It's a 6-week program. And what we do is we talk about all the parts of the plan. So then we talk about gardening. And Madison can attest to this because she helped me with the new one that I started. Anyway, with that, the first year there wasn't too many people. The second year, I think we had a little bit more. But by this year, this summer in Calumet County, we had over 32 families with their children coming. It was unbelievable. So some of this stuff, what I want to say, it does take time. So what happened this year is the next thing I wanted to talk about is there's a girl that I had gone to school with, and I don't know if all of you know this, but I'm a manager at a bar and a restaurant. And her husband came in and I knew both of them. And she was telling me about this program that she wanted help with because I was explaining the gardens to her. So I started Casa Esther with her help in Amro. So we have a garden program with kids doing the same thing with them. We brought Madison in. She comes in and does a lot of teaching. We work with the Amro Library, Amro Public Health, Amro Boys and Girls Club, us, Foodwise, and then Master Gardeners or horticulture program with Madison. So, and we did 6 weeks with them as well. And it was great. Again, it's starting. We capped it off at 10 kids from the Boys and Girls Club. And then we offered it to the public. Hey, we were guaranteed those 10 kids because they were brought in, but we still had 2 or 3 people from the public come in. This was our first year. Hey, by next year, I'm hoping that it's even bigger and better because people are getting to know who we are. And I think that's how it works with us. People learn who we are, and then, they get excited and then they want to be a part of it. And plus word of mouth is huge.
That's the biggest thing. That's
Word
what's
of mouth
doing
is
it.
huge. So absolutely. So sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years, but eventually you're like, man, whoa, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
Then you have the staff for that, which becomes the next challenge. How are you gonna
Absolutely.
handle it? And what you're telling me makes sense is that the program is selling itself.
It is.
If you have a good program, it's gonna sell
Absolutely.
itself. Now, if you don't have the participation, it's a waste of money.
But you know what, you try, you see what works, and then maybe you come back to it in a few more years and see how it, like maybe 5 years, see if it works different
Because
people.
Demographics change.
Yes, absolutely. So which brings me to something else is our outdoor classroom, which I had so much fun with you guys building that and putting that all together. Oh, it was a hard day's work. I was sore the next day, but it was a lot of fun. And we have a lot of plans with that as well. Coming up this spring, working with Madison and Dana. Again, we're all collaborating together. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. You know what I mean? And my part of the outdoor classroom is going to be, again, to bring in probably the Boys and Girls Club, the public library. And then what happens is the public library, whatever we're learning that week, they read a story on it. Madison does some type of science with whatever part of the plant we're learning that week. And then I usually give them some type of snack or something so that they can try it. Like if it's the root of a vegetable, like a carrot or something like that, they get to try it. They get to see how it all grows. They could help plant it. They can help pick it, harvest it, do whatever. And then at the end of the year, we have some fun with all of it. So that's my part of what you see out there. And I'm really excited to start that. I don't know about you, but I think it's just going to be so much fun.
And we can add on to that if you need more chickens.
So what's going to happen is there's going to be beds out there where we are going to grow produce. So with that produce, I have the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry gets a lot of donations. So I picked the day-by-day warming shelter to take a lot of the produce that we're going to grow. Some of it is going to go to some of the 4-H families, and their beds are going to be their beds. And then Foodwise will kind of have beds, and I'm going to donate that food to the day-by-day warming shelter. But on top of that, I'm also going to do cooking lessons there. with them so that they know how to use the produce, and so they'll get lots of recipes, lots of fun. And if you haven't done a tour of that place yet, it's amazing. And they have this beautiful, beautiful, like almost like an industrial kitchen that I'll be able to use. And so we're going to be doing that as well. So that's something to look forward to this summer. The other thing I wanted to talk about is right now I am deep in the schools. And this is another thing. Again, they hear you, they learn about you. Last year, I switched my grades from 5th grade because the teachers were so busy getting the kids ready for middle school that we chose to go to kindergarten. So all the low-income schools in the area, which there's Taft, Jefferson, Merrill, Roosevelt, Washington, and Webster. Out of that last year, I had 2 classrooms of the kindergarten teachers that chose to have me come in. And then I had 10 to 12 in the 2nd grade because they've already known me. I've been working for the 2nd graders. This year, again, word of mouth, I have 10 to 12 because I'm still waiting to hear on something on Webster, but I have 10 kindergarten classrooms this year, and I'm there 6 weeks in a row, once a week for 6 weeks. And I have 10 different classrooms, and I have 10 to 12 classrooms with 2nd grade. Again, the kindergartners, the teachers, they learned what we do. We send them information. We let them pick their dates and times. So I'm going to be pretty busy. That's over 20 classrooms that I will be in for 6 weeks each. It gets to be a lot, but it's a lot of fun. And I wanted to show you some of the, did it come up, Chris?
Yep, I gotta see if I can guess it.
I wanted to show you some of the new curriculum that I've chosen to use. It's a lot of fun, and the kids absolutely love it. So when I come in, the first thing we do is we explain where we are, who we're from, UW-Madison Division of Extension, and I work for the Foodwise program. And then the next slide is what we're going to be all learning. We're going to learn all about My Plate, 5 food groups, and why it's important that we have the food groups and things like that. So you can go on. So this is just our program on, it's called Discover My Plate, and it's all, this one's all on fruit, because we break down each section of My Plate, and then we go through it. So I won't explain. So the first thing I do is say, hey, what did we learn about last week? And then they'll tell you, oh, we learned about veggie, veggie, and vegetables. And then we'll recap what we learned, you know, the week before into now. So that's why that slide's in there. Go ahead. And then again, where the vegetables are on My Plate, we actually take Reggie and we break him down. What is his body made of? What are his legs are made of, and all that type of stuff. And the kids, I've never had a classroom like this that they listen to every word that I'm saying, and they know exactly what's happening, and they love it. So I want to show you some of the more. We'll continue on.
And they'll correct you if you say it wrong.
Veggies,
They do.
that's too big for veggies.
And so that's that they are vitamins. That's what we get from them when we talk about eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables and why. So these are some of the slides that I use. And then that's we don't have to watch the video. Yeah. It's just it's a video of all these kids saying how fruits and vegetables rock. You know, they go through it. I'd rather have you see a different one. Go ahead. There's a different video I wanted you to watch.
That's
the video. Yeah.
Okay.
So the kids talk about. And then again, we break down Farah fruit, and we talk about all the different types of fruits that are in that group. The watermelon, the kiwi, she's made of an apple, the blackberries, oranges, strawberries, all that type of stuff. So continue. And then you can go through these fast. We talk about all the different colors, and they can see how they're eating a rainbow when they try all of these different fruits. Then we, you can keep going, that's fine. Okay. This is all good. And then we talk about what it all does for us, the energy, how it builds strong bones, and how it helps us go to the bathroom. We talk about that. And we can go through another one. And then we can, we don't have to watch this video. This is Sesame, this is kind of, Sesame Street, because Super Grover's in there saying that we could never eat a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. And so the actual vegetables that are playing the part in here, they say, oh, yes, you can, and then they go through it. But we don't have to watch. I want you to watch, a different one. And then, so that you can keep going.
Yep.
And then this one, I get them up and I get them moving. And this all happens within a half an hour, as I don't want the kids just listening to me talk through the whole thing, which has been a huge difference in the way that we teach, because then we can play this one. This one's a Jack Hartman, then we get the kids up moving and they all dance along and they follow everything that he does. Do you have volume?
I don't think I have.
Okay, that's fine. We don't have to play it, but he rocks to the body of colors, so we try to fly like a magenta, and he talks about colors, and then we talk about eating those colors. He's just a great resource to have. And you can kind of see, you do some things with your head and you sway your feet to blue and yellow, you dance like a whatever. So the kids do all of this and they absolutely love it. Lean like green, and you rock your body. And then he's got many different videos. So we put in the ones that are kind of conducive to what we are teaching. So, and then after that, we give them a sample of what it is. Like for grains, they get to try popcorn. Even though they probably eat popcorn a lot, we want them to know that that grain is a good one for them to eat without all the butter and without all the salt. Then for vegetables, we give them snap peas. They get to try snap peas. For fruit, we do a frozen fruit. We do frozen mangoes. Only because we want them to know that during the summer months when it's super, super hot out, frozen fruit is really good for you to bring your temperature down, especially if you're playing outside, and so that they get a chance to try something different. So we do mangoes. For protein, we do beans, like refried beans. And then for grains, like I said, popcorn. Dairy, we have them try almond milk. So this is something that we do in the classroom, and all the funding is through food wise. Okay, thank you. Any questions on this?
Yeah, you were talking about your schools. Which ones are the Nina Menasha and Oshkosh schools?
Taft is the only one that is in Nina that is low income, and I'm in 4 classrooms there.
Okay, they've got our Roosevelt School and Wilson School is also a Title I school. It's now Horace Mann,
Okay,
and it's a Title I school.
okay.
And it's K4.
Okay, so we usually get at the beginning of the year, all the schools that they have to be 50% or more low income. So we always get those numbers and then we reach out to the schools, all of them that are in our area.
Okay.
And Outagamie, Winnebago, we don't have any in Calumet, I believe, but Wapaka, we all reach out to all the schools.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Now, I would guess with the kindergartners are more receptive than the 5th grade, aren't they?
Yes and no. The 5th graders were really, it depends upon what you're teaching them. And with the 5th graders, we don't go through the whole My Plate. We go through more like sugars in your drinks. How much, because they're getting into the whole Starbucks and the whole energy drinks and all that type of stuff. So we do that. We were doing that. We talked about all of My Plate on how they can use that to choose what to eat every day, but then we had different categories for them. We played fruit and vegetable Jeopardy with them, just different things. They loved it. I'm not gonna, but I just think the teachers are
Giving them right.
try to get too much in. And that's what some of the 5th grade teachers said. We are just so busy, we can't get everything in. We love your program, but we can't. So again, we tried something different.
Now, do you have all the schools covered then? Or if you had more staff, would you be covering more students?
I have all of them in Winnebago covered. The ones that have chosen to work with me. Webster, like I said, I'm still trying to contact them, but they had that big move this year. So I don't know, they're in a totally different building. Merrill, the same thing. I've got a couple of teachers from them, but they've had these big moves. So Merrill wants actually gardens eventually, which we're gonna work with them on that. The other thing that I'm working on, Nina, with Taft is they want raised bed gardens. So Hannah and I are working with them on that, so that they can get, a garden out there.
Doesn't Clovis School have a bunch of that?
A lot of the schools have it, I'm not sure which ones do, but a lot of them have gardens in this area.
We're talking about low income, I guess. Clovis School.
I can check into it.
we don't have-
I,
I just- I
we,
really-
every year though, we do send out,
And then if they choose not to take you, because the point I was getting at is then now you're at the point where they need to be budgeting to have more staff to cover things where
I
you're
wish.
having. where
Christy,
you're
my,
having-
yes, my
Success.
coordinator, Christy, is working on that. We actually would really like someone who speaks, Spanish at least. If not, we used to have a Spanish and a Hmong educator, but, then everything kind of gets tightened and, we just never filled them again. So that would be something that I would love another educator in Winnebago. We're large and we have the largest population for low income, and it's just me. Miranda does help out and does come into the area, but she works for Outagamie, which is large in its own self. And then we have, Haley in Wapaka along with Christy. So, yeah, and that was something her and I were talking about yesterday. I would love to see another person here. It's
And
kind of hard to bounce.
I'll add one thing to support what Kim's saying, or Chris is saying, apologies. Remember the funding is federal funding, and the federal funding has remained flat for many, many years, which if you look at the inflationary increases actually means it's a decrease in funding. So that's where Chris is saying that there are some positions that have had to get tightened up because the grant dollars are not going up and everything else is, so they've had to get creative. So there isn't an unlimited pot of money to be able to
No,
do that.
it's a new world. we're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. So I'm just showing you about the complexity as much as I know Christy and I have talked about what could we do if, and then fill in the blanks. It's like, that's a little bit of a different animal. That said, this is where, like you said, it's a different, little bit of a different environment, is exploring, are there some public-private partnerships that might be able to expand that we're still within the scope of our mission, and we're just starting to, explore that.
Okay, any questions yet? One more thing. So with my connections with Oshkosh Area Community Pantry, the tiny villages, you guys know what the tiny villages in town are?
Yeah.
They contacted the pantry and said, you guys have this type of food. We need someone to come in to help us to do that. So what happened is, Elizabeth at the pantry gave them my name and my number. So I've been working with, I think her name is Corey, starts with a C, over there. Actually, one day I was not feeling well, so Christy and Miranda did a tour over there, and we are gonna start working with them as well. They want meal prep. They want to learn how to do, or how to actually work and cook some of the things that you get at the pantry using pantry food. So that is something that we have in the works right now as well, and I'm so excited to get involved in that. I think it's gonna be a great partnership. So next time I'm here, I'll update you on that, because that's just happening now. And the last thing I wanted to just kind of talk about, is something that I've done personally. I know I've talked to a lot of you about the fact that I am a manager at a bar and a restaurant, okay?
Which one of them?
It's called Cooligans, and it's out in Van Dyne.
Oh,
It's in a gas station,
oh,
okay?
it's by, that place what was that strip club name in Van Dyne years
No.
ago?
No,
What was it called?
I have no idea.
Also,
No,
Ringo was there, Ringo, remember?
That was before her time.
this is probably before, yeah. We're
Sorry
on
for bringing that up.
scare me there.
Your Farmview golf courses, the break on.
Farmview, it's right down the street from Farmview.
Oh,
It's on the Lake Road heading
Yeah.
towards Fond du Lac. It's in the BP gas station, okay? So what we have done there is, I bought a spinning wheel. And what happens is when someone comes in, they can spin the wheel and they can win things. But on 3 of the numbers, because there's 14 numbers, they have to donate. And before they spin the wheel, we tell them that they could end up on donate. We tell them it could be a quarter, at least a quarter, because I'm not going to tell people only have to donate $5. That's just not how it works. But they can win appetizers, French fries, a free drink, whatever it may be. So what happens is at the end of every month, I take that money and I give it to one of the low income partners that we work with. So I've been able to give Ruby's Pantry $100 and something, Oshkosh Area Community Pantry like $165. But since we're in that area, my boss decided that Lakeside is building all new equipment outside. So this month it's going to go to Lakeside School, and then we're going to give them money. But then we're doing the day-by-day warming shelter, and we may even do something for the Humane Society. So we're picking all great programs, and the money is going and being donated. So I've kind of brought my 2 jobs together. And
How much do people donate?
I've had someone throw in $20, and I've had someone throw in just a quarter.
Okay.
The usual amount is at least $5.
Yeah, and that's what amazing, when you don't ask for anything, you get something that's reasonable.
Yeah. But I mean, in 30 days to raise $165, is not bad either, and they know that this rotation will continue. So they may get it more than once. I mean, when I took it to the Oshkosh Area Community Pantry, Ryan was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I mean, that could be their eggs for a month. You know what I mean? It could be just any little thing. So I kind of brought the 2 jobs together. And it's just been kind of cool. Again, getting our name out there. Okay, so now Ryan is writing a thank you note to Cooligans, because and now they may go out to Cooligans, but then now they know, both of them know each other. So I'm trying to do that as well.
I've got one question. You said you trained them how to cook with pantry food. What's the difference between pantry food and my food? I mean, potatoes are potatoes.
There really isn't, but they have some things there that come prepackaged, rice and vegetables. Sometimes they don't know what to do with it. Sometimes, and I am not trying to stereotype at all here, but sometimes low-income families, they don't have the knowledge and know what to do with some of it. They wouldn't think of taking maybe cucumbers and tomatoes and something else, maybe chunks of cheese or noodles, and making some type of salad or pasta out of it. So that's where we come in, and we try to do that. It could be, what can I all do with chicken, or what can I all do with a can of tuna, that type of stuff. And you try to have them be creative.
When do you sleep?
Yeah.
I know everybody thinks that I don't, because I always look tired. I wear a CPAP machine that makes my face, and jargons my face, and it looks like I don't sleep, but I do. I make sure that I don't work real late at night, and I don't work a lot during the week. It's
No, you don't work at your other job.
I don't work at my other job. So everybody can handle a 40-hour week job. Well, most of us can. And so I work about 3 nights. I work usually Friday nights, and Wednesday nights are a big night for me out at the bar. We have a sign-in. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Anyway, and it's nice because I'm the manager, so I make up the schedules. So I schedule myself. I work Saturday days, things like that. So I don't know if you know, my husband cannot work due to COVID. So that's why I work 2 jobs. And then I also officiate on Tuesday nights for WIAA. No, swimming.
Oh,
Boys and girls swimming. Yeah. And, the pay is really good, and I'm experienced in it. So, you have to do what you have to do. I'm not whining. I'm not complaining. I've been doing it for a year now. I'm used to it. You have to do what you gotta do. But I'm trying to work it all together. You know what I mean? So, and I did want to say this, the woman who brought me together with Casa Esther. Her and her husband that came in to eat were the two that were killed on the motorcycle out in Van Dyne, Paul DeLapp.
Those were county employees.
They were county employees. They were friends of mine, Paul and Pam. And it was a little tough, you know, to hear all of that. He was just ready to retire. And she was just so vibrant in the community, doing so many things. So, I just wanted to give them a little. Yeah. So,
Any other questions?
yeah, I think I did okay.
Move on to, expenses administration department report with Bill.
All right, I just have a couple things I want to share with you today. Couple of updates facility wise. So through a course of events, we are having our offices, we're going through and the offices are being painted. It'll be the first fresh coat of paint since the original paint was put on when the building was opened. So within the office spaces, so we're systematically throughout the next few, you know, we've actually, I think the majority of them have been, or, you know, we're about just shy of half, so we're rotating through the spaces. So it's just kind of a nice thing. I mean, part of it occurred because there was accidentally a hole put in a wall and then there needed to be some repair and then realizing like, oh, this is the original paint for the building. So freshening up a little bit, brightening things up. Also giving a chance to move like furniture away from the wall and finding all the treasures that may have fallen in all those spaces. So just some maintenance and then some upkeep. The other piece, so the good news, so Robin and Amy, are leading an effort through both this year so the, existing, we're getting a new reservation tool, that Parks and us are utilizing. It's an add-on to the package, the agenda prep software package, and it's an add-on to that same company. So it made it very cost effective to be able to do that, and it does the things that Parks needs it to do to collect revenue. It also does the things, Amy and Robin gave it a test out to be able to do the online individuals can manage their own reservations, and then Robin is our lead. So then if there's questions or concerns, she can manage from the back end. But there's also a very simple way for individuals internal to be able to book the meeting sites, and so that they can just go in and grab it and it'll block the calendar. And the calendar is essentially a live calendar, so individuals can know when spaces and rooms are open, internally and externally. So, and there would be the capability, not saying, I mean, this is for others to decide, but if there was a need for deposits or revenue, you know, fees or whatever, then that would be something that can be turned on and used later. Not something that we're going to implement right away, or even at all maybe. So just a kind of an update there, looking forward to that. There's going to be a learning curve. I think Robin and Amy, we've separately in separate conversations, the plan for learning the program first, then working with some of the internal, already those that are using it to get their reservations moved over and get them in the system. And then maybe middle of the year next year, or for sure by the next year, like the reservation period opening for 2025, have it fully switched over. So not promising anything, but it will just take some time to get all the existing reservations moved over first. And then, you know, some of those user guide type things so that individuals internally and externally would know how to make, you know, how to make the reservations. So kind of, I don't want to say it's an exciting thing, but it's something that it's a tool that is probably, I think the front end labor, there'll be a little bit of front end labor, but in the back end, it'll make it will make that reservation process and the customer service portion of that better. So, and that was, and I think I had mentioned to you, that is included in, or at least our quote unquote, our share was included in the budget that was passed by the county board as part of the departmental budget. The only thing other, related to staff and just staff department, one, the fall, the variations of fall yuck are making their rounds, so we're just as a group communicating well, encouraging individuals that might have that, you know, cough or sneezes, if they have the opportunity to work from home. We've upped our supplies of, you know, spray disinfectants and using those just to try and keep everyone as healthy as we can. And also, this is the time of the year where we've worked with the staff and educating, informing, and also scheduling. We have holiday time and, you know, vacation, trying to make sure that we have our base level of coverage, but also ensuring that individuals have the opportunity to be able to take some time off to be with their friends, family, loved ones, or their kids. And they might be in a separate category of loved ones, depending on the day or the minute. But so just doing that to try and make sure that we have, you know, so one, we can still serve our customers, but yet also be flexible and responsive to our staff and using the tools that we
You
have.
said that you made me cough.
Sorry, Chris. And then I do not have any, well, I guess I do have an area update, or I don't know if I mentioned it in February, on the 29th of February. So we only get to have an event on that date once every 4 years. We're having an Area 10 gathering. So all 3 counties in Area 10, all of the staff, the educators and the county staff, we're gathering at Mosquito Hill in just outside of New London. So one of the Outagamie County parks and nature, it's a nature center and a nature area. We're having some guest speakers come in. It's a time for networking, a little bit of professional development, and they're hoping also to take advantage of the space and the facility and have a little bit of fun, natural education and enjoyment. So that's something fun that's happening. It's one of those. There's a great crew that is. That's helping plan and to make sure that we meet everybody's needs to do that. And so I'm excited about that. Other than that, I don't have any other major or significant updates.
Just this project-based budgeting or whatever they call it.
Yep.
I mean, do you see that as being a positive thing, or is that gonna change the way you do business or not?
So I don't know how much, it will change, like how we do things. There are some positives, from the standpoint of, one of the things, and there's work on the other side. So, looking at allocating our departmental, all of our departmental expenses and revenues, and having those allocated across our programs, which, the programs are the ones that the educators come and discuss, with the addition of meeting rooms, and the addition of like meeting and agenda prep to support this and other functions. So those are our programs, and I do have some of them that are split. So like Dana and Sarah have 2 categories of programming. They have like 4-H, like the member education, and then split into the time that they spend administering and managing volunteers, because those are 2 very distinct things. So just an example of where that's broken down. Now, so we've gone through the preliminary of doing that, and so we can see where things break down. One, I think especially for meeting room reservations, it is a valuable tool so that we can put a number on how much does it cost to manage the meeting rooms out of our department. And I think there's some things like the reservation software could actually make it more efficient so that there can be ways to streamline that. So I think that's a good, I don't think that's a bad thing. The other thing, Todd, to answer your question is, and this is where I have to do a little additional work, is that I want to show it gives me an opportunity to better show both the Division of Extension, so the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the county, how their investments are relating to each other and then when we have our program impact, so you hear about Madison and her 100+ contacts for horticulture diagnostics and 86, I was doing, just the math, almost 200 people at the farmers market and then the class and those types of things to show both the county is investing in this, then taking the state, amount, Chris, food wise, that's also to be able to show, because I've got food wise education and the actual amounts or percentages of the budget that the Winnebago County is very, very low because of the match from the state. So being able to show that, where extension's a little bit different, where we have a partnership with, 2 strong funding partners that have worked together. It helps tell our story in a different way using some numbers in addition to, it adds to like Chris, like I'm in 10 to 12 school, 10 to 12 classrooms, with that opportunity. That's one set of numbers, but then also showing value and return on investment isn't necessarily the worst thing.
And that same rate, it's almost there in the fact that like at the University of Oshkosh Fox Valley, we got 700 people going there, but of that 700, how many are from out of the country?
129.
So, when you go to say how many people does it actually help in Winnebago, that number really, now, I don't know if I publish that unless it's high. But
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that helps you. Where's my dollar going? What am I getting for it? And can I justify continuing doing it?
And the one thing that I will say, if there's I don't want to say it's a negative, but one of the challenges with the system right now, at least this was the first time that did a little bit of the front end work, is that some of so for example, Madison as well, Madison has 2 programs associated with her work. She has the horticulture diagnostics, which is the walk-ins, that plant health advisors, and the outreach education, because those are 2 distinctly different pieces, or can be viewed as 2 different pieces. But sometimes it's not, some of those things are not easy, super, like there's the split. So trying to come up, and to provide both value, and then you're like, okay, well, what if we put them together? And it's like, well, but that doesn't necessarily tell the story, tell the story either. So it's the challenge is finding that balance, and I think that will be over time. And Dana and Sarah have that as well with okay, this is like 4-H club and program management, but there's a little educational component, so it might be this. So that's where our challenge is, and I think that's where going through the process will be like, well, those may not be 2 different educational programs, and then we put them together and merge them as one, and we tell that story as that. So
and that's the challenge, is how do we present it? How do we sell ourselves as a unit? And by giving the background, it may be only so many people, but then when you're actually helping out or getting people out of Gamey County and that, well, then it gives somebody an opportunity to say, okay, it's kind of foggy in the middle there, but at least you're tracking what you're doing.
Well, and the other piece, especially, I mean, probably prior to the enterprise system upgrade, that manages that Amy and the finance team plug everything in. It wasn't as easy to separate things out by expenses, income and expenses by the project codes. And so, but prior to, we had some project codes that were like, there's 4-H camp money coming in, and we want to make sure we track it, because if we don't, because the program falls across years, we want to make sure that we know what to, when it comes time for the February and March Finance Committee meetings to ask for carryover, to carry over those balances. We have a system where Amy can very easily go, boop, 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 oh, this is for 4-H programming. So we started that. I know there's other departments that they've got that broken out, and it's easy peasy, or easier. but that's the other thing in, brought Amy in on the conversations about, okay, if we wanna really be able to track this, then we need to also then have these, priority project, or these programs so that we can, do that. And it just takes some time and that's where the nuance is. It's like, well, this one could go here, or it could go here. And figuring out what those, might be. But I don't think that's a bad discussion. It just takes some time to do.
And it's selling.
Yeah.
And then on the computer program you're getting, you tell me if it works the way it's supposed to, because I've never seen a program that's been introduced that's been the way it was supposed to be. They always say, well, we'll fix that on the fly. And then you said, you can't do that stuff. So let me know if it works.
Right.
Foodwise uses a program, not financially, but we have to put everything in. And it's amazing the reports that come out of that. So if you ever want to see that one, let me know. It's called Pairs, and we put everything in. I can go in and because we have to keep track of ethnicity, gender, if they're Hispanic or not, and I can pull up just one area and it does an amazing job.
They get
So
there eventually.
this, and we use it throughout the whole state, and I can look at anybody's stuff and see kind of what they're doing. That one's really cool. Of course, it's not what he's talking about, but there are some out there that do all of that work.
My biggest concern, there's only 4 counties that use it out of 72, so if it was such a great program, everybody'd be jumping on the bandwagon, and I look at us like being the 5th guinea pig. We're gonna work out the problems and maybe in 3 to 5 years, it'll either be a great program or it'll be obsolete. But that's just my opinion. Any more questions for Chris? Hearing none, we'll go on to UWMS and Division of Extension Education Steering Committee updates.
No further updates. I guess they are still at the WCA and UW Extension, figuring out how they're going to proceed for us then to get back together and discuss it. And Chris, at that point in time, I'm gonna come to you and say, how can we make this happen?
So we'll go on to announcements for upcoming extension events at the county board meetings for discussion. Anything you want us to announce?
I'm trying to think, the newsletter.
Just went out
The
yesterday
newsletter
morning.
just went out yesterday, so, that would be a good spot. One of the things in the next immediate, we do have a little bit of a lull in normal programming, just because between the holidays, that 6 weeks there, the pace slows, like schools have Christmas programs, people working have social functions, or, whatever's going on. So, slows down, and hopefully January, usually picks up a little bit.
Then we'll have comments from the committee members. Any committee comments?
Chris, I think you're doing a great job,
Thank you.
and with a big workload, and Madison, you too, and you're both really gems for our county.
Thank you.
We'll name a room off for you when you retire.
Maybe a garden. This will hit Madison as well as Chris for her food wise. I have discovered kale. When I had kale in the past, it felt sharp, it felt tough, it was just, and I heard about you need to massage kale before you eat it. And so a friend had given me some kale from his garden. I said, well, I'm gonna try massaging. I just heard about this. And I'll be doggone if it really doesn't, it works. I was at the store,
You
to
would know that more than me, but
get some more kale, and it said kale for cooking. I thought, oh, this must be, it's not really, but I thought I'm buying it anyway. And I massaged the heck out of it. First with some salt, then I added some salad dressing. Really good.
Never heard of the one.
You know what else is wonderful with kale is frying it and ending up with kale chips.
I've
Oh,
baked them.
that's
I baked them. I've handed that out at the pantry. They got this huge amount of kale. Of course, it's sat there. No one wanted to take it. So then I went in and I made kale chips, and Everybody's like, oh, these aren't that bad. I'm like, take some kale. So this is how you make it. And then we give them a recipe. That's what I do on the off. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah,
Spare time.
What is it?
that's not fair.
No,
It's a leafy green.
It's,
The
It's a
green,
leafy green.
it's kind of bitter if you don't
Massage it.
if you don't massage it.
It's in the breast, so it's like broccoli, cauliflower, it's like the leaves
Yeah.
of a broccoli plant.
Okay.
Brussels sprouts, they're all kind of.
Rabbits
the same
love it.
plant. Yeah, I love it. You can,
Push it together and then what you do, you fry it or?
Well,
I
I
baked
made it as a salad.
Yeah.
But some years ago, Festival Food used to make a chopped kale and Waldorf salad
Yes.
together. They don't do it anymore, but that was really good.
How'd you make potato chips out of it?
Costco does, yeah.
You bake, you just take the leaves of kale and you put it in the oven and bake it.
Shake it.
You have to massage it.
Yeah, you massage it first always. You put a little olive oil on it and some
Oh,
salt and they crisp all up. They just,
And you just basically put some stuff on it and bake it in the oven.
Yeah,
Now it's a potato chip.
I didn't know exactly. It's healthy.
from the garden,
Yeah.
you don't have to pick it before the first freeze. I've grown kale in my garden. I'm still harvesting it in December with snow crusted on it. It is a hardy green. And so I'm always too busy in September to like try and get everything picked in my garden. So I love kale because I'm like, she can sit out there for a while. It gets tastier, it gets sweeter the colder it gets.
Okay.
It's just, it is.
Carrot over thing.
Carrots I've had bad luck with the soil or moisture in the soil can sometimes rot them if it's a wet fall, but carrots can stay out pretty late. too,
Your
as
soil
well.
might have something to do with that.
Yeah,
If sandy
it is.
soil, it works better than.
Yes.
Yeah, you can take this card here and get yourself tested.
There you go, right now. Anybody have a-
Hey, do we-
Hearing no more comments. Our next meeting will be December 21st. And I'll entertain the motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.